he's been called the greatest baseball player you've never heard of. Well, now at least the people in the small town of Glasgow have. In tonight's MVP, I'll introduce you to a hometown hero and the people making sure he finally gets honored. Sometimes we move so fast, we don't take the time to recognize the past.
Lady Jackets!
And that was completely forgotten because of who he was and what he looked like. And that's ridiculous.
A record 413 wins and more than 5,000 strikeouts, and still no one knew his name.
Never heard of him before.
It wasn't known by many people. I mean, I'd heard rumors of this a phenomenal pitcher named John Donaldson.
Part of our national pastimes past can present a problem.
But yeah.
Just ask this man.
Wednesday afternoon.
From Minnesota.
Yep, it's about a 10-hour drive from Minneapolis.
Pete Gordon has been digging into John Wesley Donaldson for years.
So I'm into my 21st year. You have to understand that when I started, nobody knew who he was. Relatively nobody does today.
Born and raised in Glasgow, Missouri, John Donaldson grew up to become a left-handed legend.
There just weren't people throwing the ball the way he was at that time. And he's right here from Glasgow. It is possible that he was an innovator of the art of pitching.
Donaldson played more than 30 seasons in the Negro Leagues in the early 1900s, including 2 years with the Kansas City Monarchs he helped found. And in this rare footage that lasts just 39 seconds, it shows Donaldson pitching in 1925.
He strikes out 18 guys that day.
Some argue he was one of the greatest of all time. Pete Gordon has the newspaper clippings to prove it.
Every time John Donaldson played in Chicago, the newspapers in Chicago said, why isn't he playing for the Chicago Cubs? Why isn't he playing for the Chicago White Sox? He's better than anybody they have. But the color barrier prevented that. Society prevented that. We're simply not going to prevent that anymore.
When our small town works together, the sky is the limit.
This September, more than 100 years since Donaldson first started playing ball in this little Missouri town,
of bringing this field to life to honor John Wesley Donaldson.
He's getting the recognition he deserves.
It's time, and I'm glad it took place, and I am part of it.
The community came together, raised the money, and manicured the land donated by Jason Monig's family.
Back and say, hey, it is never too late to do the right thing. There are probably a whole bunch of stories like this, hundreds, maybe thousands. There could be other communities honoring other people. It's never too late to do that.
Donaldson died in 1970, but his family,
John Donaldson is my great uncle,
was there to celebrate this moment.
Yeah, this is a very big, important time in history, and I hope people come together over it instead of being divided.
The local school district approved a new field named in Donaldson's honor.
John, you did it.
Woo! And erected a statue right beside it.
We talked a lot today about being a part of the change. African American legacies matter in this country. Our effort on behalf of John Donaldson proves that.
Speechless. It's wow. It was a long time coming, and I'm glad it's here.
And it's finally John Donaldson's time to shine.
But seeing his face in the sun as it would have been 100 years ago, I've imagined for decades. John Donaldson doesn't have to stand in the shadows anymore.
Donaldson was offered the chance to play in the major leagues, but only if he disowned his family and said he was Cuban. Donaldson said no. He's quoted as saying he is clean both morally and physically. He went on to play nearly 700 games and retired in 1941.